Alright, so this is a suggestion via Discord. The name of the video is, we talked to real swing voters. What they told us will shock you. Let's go and check this out immediately.
Have you ever met an open socialist before and sat and talked with them on a porch?
An open socialist?
You.
Am I the only one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes politics is a lot less straightforward than we're led to believe. Especially in a place like this. Elliott County looks like any other part of rural Kentucky, but it's not. In fact, it might have the weirdest politics of any place in the country. That's because Elliott County voted for Democrats in every presidential election for 144 years straight. FDR, Truman, JFK, LBJ, Carter, Clinton, Obama, and then in 2016, vote for Donald Trump?
Yep.
2020?
Yep.
2024?
Yep. Definitely.
The single largest swing from Obama to Trump happened right here. But a few years later, something just as surprising happened. Elliott County voted for Governor Andy Beshear, a Democrat. So what's the deal with Elliott County? Is it just...
To be honest, that actually sounds decent. It means that they don't have any real party loyalty. And I think that's the greatest thing in the world, because sometimes, all right, the other politics may sound better, or they may work better for you at that moment, right? To be honest, right? So if you just specifically say, I'm going to vote no matter what for this party, how is that really benefiting specifically your life, right? Maybe that Democrat specifically had better plans to, mobilize the economy in the area.
just an outlier?
Maybe.
Or is there something deper going on here?
Let's see where this takes
Something with
us.
implications that could reach far beyond Eastern Kentucky. Did you hear that? Is that on camera?
All right, let's go. Coming from the channel More Perfect Union, guys.
You might recognize what's going on. I don't know.
I couldn't tell you. If you told me you paid me $100,000 to tell you what's going on here, I would be broke.
Yeah.
That guy is Donnie.
Okay.
He runs the Big Four store in Elliott County. Here you'll find Union stickers, Trump shirts, and a rare collection of fine art made by Donnie himself. So how many generations are you in Elliott County, and who's this?
That's my dad. He built the house in 1950. And that's the house I got now. I've been here all my life, tarred pipe fitter, been in the store business for 24 years. I mean, some of the best people you meet around here.
Elliott is home to some 7,000 people, 99% white. Aside from a few churches, a gas station, and a prison, there's not a whole lot here. But it is known for one thing. This county, it's the only one in the country that has voted 144 years straight for Democrats. And then it flipped 45 points to Trump. Only county in America that did that. How do you explain that? Why did such a radical shift happen? What's your understanding of that?
Well, I don't care what. You know, if I was a coon hunter and I bought a dog, and I sell coon hides, and my dog won't tree a coon,
Well,
I'm
what?
gonna get another one. Same way with these two guys. Biden ain't done nothing for me, and I'm gonna switch to a new dog.
What do you think of George W. Bush?
Piece of shit.
Okay.
I started out a Democrat because my father was. And that was just something, it's just like your last name. You're a Democrat.
You know, growing up,
Okay.
I was always taught you got to vote Democrat, vote Democrat, vote Democrat.
What did it mean to be a Democrat? Was it connected to anything?
That is just how.
Yeah, I don't
the
think
county
so.
went.
Doesn't sound like it.
The Democrats was giving money for the county, and we were trying to get roads fixed, trying to, make this county
Okay.
something.
All right, so there definitely was some type of party loyalty for over 100 years, it seems. But it was all money oriented.
And that's who was helping us.
Okay.
When a county votes for
Like,
one
did they stop
party for
helping you?
144 years straight, it can be hard to know where that kind of loyalty even comes from.
Right.
Some folks say that FDR's New Deal had something to do with it. The New Deal put millions to work building roads and schools and bridges, created Social Security, and
Infrastructure.
established by law the right to form a union. And for decades, it cemented the idea that Democrats were a party for the working class.
Democrats were looked at as for the poor people.
Yep.
They were for the poor people.
Our great-great-grandparents were Democrats, and just taught through the years from FDR on, they believed that was the union support, and
Okay.
it has somewhat changed in this area in the last few election cycles, if you will. It's changed drastically, honestly.
As recently as the mid-90s, Kentucky was a Democratic stronghold. Democrats controlled the state house, the governor's mansion, and the majority of congressional seats. But eventually,
Okay, but I guess my main question is that did they actually see any benefit from that? Or were they just being used for votes?
the governor's mansion, and the majority of congressional seats. But eventually, things began to shift. The Party of Workers and Unions became champions of free trade and Wall Street. Democrats stopped chasing blue-collar voters in rural areas and shifted their attention to white-collar voters in the suburbs. And that left a vacuum that Republicans, who supported basically the same corporate agenda, were happy to fill. By 2012, Elliott County was the last rural county to vote for a Democrat in a presidential election. Not just in Kentucky, but across all majority white counties in the South. Then, 2016 rolled around.
Sadly, the American dream is dead.
Bring it back!
But if I get elected president, I will bring it back.
I think a lot of it is that we're tired. I'm not saying that Donald Trump's not crooked. I'm not saying Joe Biden's not crooked. They're all crooked.
Yeah.
But
That's fair.
You know,
Fair
if
assessment.
we get an extra $30 or something in our paychecks, that makes a difference. I'm doing hay to try to feed the kids. I'm doing everything that I can know to do as, you know, not only a parent,
Yeah.
but as a person. You know,
Is that getting harder?
it's getting harder.
Yeah, it is.
Time goes on.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
How much opportunity is there for kids that are born in this county? And do most of them come back and live here?
No.
Most of them,
I'm going to go ahead and say no.
there's nothing here to do.
Right.
Everything good
Right.
come to Elliott County has been with a union job. You go away somewhere to work, drive 2 hours, come home, hoping to retire before you got hurt or crippled. That's the only people that have done well here.
Okay.
Like the rest of the country, Elliott County has seen a dramatic decline in unions, which went hand in hand with stagnating wages. At the end of the 80s, the median household income in Elliott sat at $37,000, adjusting for inflation. Today, it's about $39,000.
Okay.
In other words, they haven't seen a raise in over 30 years, while the cost of living has only gone up.
Even after 140
Wow,
years
dude.
of voting for Democrats, we have lived not in poverty, not near the poverty line, in extreme poverty.
The poverty level being so...
Wait. Is it 39,000? Is that the household income, or is it like the median income for like each person there? I think that's a massively different analysis. If they're saying that they're below the poverty line, then I'm gonna go and forecast that it's probably household income, the median household income, more so than like individual income.
hard. It was like, does he have a rope to throw us? And that's what it was.
Trump wasn't getting votes from New York City and LA and all these big towns. He was getting votes from these little counties all across America.
Yeah.
I think it's his anger, and everybody else in this country is angry. His anger filled his campaign, and it was like, oh, I felt this for such a long time. Someone's relating to me.
I think that's probably like one of the best explanations for, I think, his overall meteoric rise, specifically in extremely rural areas. That's
We
an
hear
amazing
this phrase,
one.
why do people
actually.
vote against their interests? Listen, it makes me mad because that's telling us we're dumb, and we're not.
Andy Beshear is the governor of Kentucky. In 2019 and in 2023, Beshear pulled off something most people thought was impossible.
Okay.
He won as a Democrat in Trump country.
Yeah, I mean, some of this stuff is kind of crazy. Take a look here.
Both times he won Elliott County.
I certainly think, at least for me, winning Elliott County was about waking up every day focused on the same issues that Kentuckians wake up and worry about. It's
Okay.
not the outrage of the day in Washington, D.C. It's things
Fair.
like, do I have a good job, one where I can afford to raise my family? Who is moving my life forward?
Beshear won partly by distancing himself from the National Democratic brand, which has become toxic in Kentucky. But he's not a...
Bro, that's extremely fair. I mean, and that's a great path to success, I would say. I mean, the same thing for a Republican, obviously, right? Like, if you can get away from the toxicity of what basically all of the major news broadcasts kind of talk about first, if you can get away from that, distance yourself completely from all of that nonsense and just say, listen, yeah, I'm running under this ticket, but I can actually do something to change your existence. And that's what it seems like he actually had the ability to do. So absolutely respect.
Moderate either. He ran as a pro-union candidate, campaigned on raising teacher pay, and implementing universal pre-K. And like many folks in Elliott County, Beshear traces his political roots back to the New Deal.
FDR showed up, and he produced. And my grandparents met on a WPA project. They were Democrats their entire life, and FDR was a major reason why.
That approach has informed the way he's governed.
Kentucky is one of the only southern states that has seen growth in union membership each of the last 2 years, and it is significant. I mean, we're building the 2 biggest battery plants on planet Earth. They're being built by organized labor.
Okay. I bet those batteries are super expensive.
These projects were possible in part thanks to trillions of dollars in investments that passed under Joe Biden. But the jobs are a 3-hour drive from Elliott County, so it's unclear if those investments will translate to votes.
Right.
Did Governor Beshear earn your vote?
Yes, he did.
Did Joe Biden earn your vote?
No. The way President Trump ran the United States from a Kentuckian's perspective felt better to me than the way President Biden has run the United States. I don't really know how to dive into that any deeper. It's a perception. It's odd that I'm torn here because I support Governor Beshear every day. Governor Beshear has been great for this state.
Beshear has shown that Democrats can win in Elliott County, but he still isn't putting up numbers like Trump. No one is. What's it take to earn the vote in Elliott County, and how do you think Democrats win it back?
I don't know. I mean, I honestly don't know. I can't answer that, and it's going to be lopsided again.
Listen, you have to get away from the look specifically of only caring about gigantic lobbyists, having all these PACs that funnel money into the government. Like, if you can get away from that and kind of get back to what people actually need rather than specifically what the richest of us exclusively need. And that's on both sides too, because guys, I'm telling you, they do the same exact thing. They just word it differently, basically. Right? But if you can get away from those things, I do think that the ability to actually reach some type of success would be great for either party, right? But you have to distance yourself from the absolute toxic, like mainstream media aspect of the left and the right.
People around here don't really feel what happens in D.C. affects them that much. I mean, they never feel it personally, other than we go to the gas pump and it's $3.33 or $3.35 or whatever it is. We're only seeing that, and so many people, they want somebody to blame, I think.
All of these people, by the millions they're coming in, they are destroying your Social Security and your Medicare.
Fear is at the heart of Trump's politics, and few issues bring up more fear than the southern border. Where's the border rank for you in the list of political issues that matter?
1.
It's number 1?
Yes.
Like, for me personally, I would say the border probably sits between definitely 1 and 2. Yeah, definitely 1 and 2. It's between the border and the economy. And then obviously taxes. Like, these 3 things are things that affect me personally, I'd say. And they affect other people, specifically in large cities where they tend to congregate, at least, right? Now, that's just a reality. I mean, there are some individuals who absolutely just don't care about this. I'm not sure that they care about the country then, to be honest, right? You just don't care about the country, right? You don't care about the safety of our nation. You don't care about the fact that there are people that are being currently linked to IS, let's say, that are coming through the southern border. We're now somehow dealing with a brand new southern, let's say South American, right? let's say street fraternity. I'm trying to word this correctly, guys, right? Referring to Tren de Aragua, guys, right? Like there are issues. There are in fact issues. You can't make it seem like that's not something that does not matter. But I think he's attempting to frame the situation like that.
Issues that matter.
One.
It's number one.
Yes.
How long have you felt the way that you do about the border?
Probably in the last 2 years. The way they're letting them come in, and it's like, it's like there's got to be a stop to it somewhere.
Why do you think so many people are coming up across the border?
Ooh.
Well, it has to
Well
be,
played.
They've got to be a hell of a spot down there. I mean,
bro, let me just stop in for a second. The problem here is that there is a reason. There's in fact a reason. All of these countries base their currency for the most part off of the US dollar. They back it. And now, if we're suffering through inflation, specifically in the United States of America, where people make a lot more of the US dollars than other countries generally make. Example, some people in Venezuela have been reported to have made about $175 a month. And now, if things are getting more expensive here, where $175 in those countries could actually do something to benefit you on a monthly basis, imagine what happened to their currency, obliterated. Like if Americans are suffering based off of the economy, every other currency that backs off of the US dollar is also now suffering. That's the reality, right? And this is the reason why they're running, because they want those US dollars. They actually mean a little bit more.
well, it has to be, they've got to be a hell of a spot down there. I mean, I can understand what's going on. They just want something better.
What are those forces that are keeping us on the road, whether you're coming from Kentucky or Honduras? Why are people moving around?
Feed their family. It's not here. That's what's broke up community too, because you had to move away from your family. You got brothers you hadn't seen in 10 years because they're stuck in Michigan on an hourly job.
They're leaving horrible conditions to come here.
I get it.
Right.
I understand it. Right.
But there has to be a right way of doing it.
There
Where
is.
is our funding for those people? Why are we not putting it back into our Social Security, into our veterans?
Why aren't we doing that?
You tell me. You're the leftist.
Yeah.
Yeah, that right there broke your argument, because that's the reality, right? You have spent your entire life paying Social Security just for basically, and your taxes, just for all of your tax dollars to basically be funneled to people who have never done that, right? Generally, when you trespass on someone's land, you get arrested. But that's not the case with the southern border for some reason, right? And now keep this in mind. When did people start talking about it? Yeah, within the last 2, 3, 4 years, let's say, guys, right? But the reality is that border has been basically porous for the last 20, 30 years, basically. It has been. It's just now getting like more eyes on it currently, but it's always been pretty much bad, bro. Obama deported a ridiculous amount of people. They called him the deporter in chief at one time.
So one of the things that I am always thinking about too is people who are in that situation, or working people who don't have the luxury to not go to work.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. They'll look around at other working people and say, I can't get by because of what you're doing or something. And meanwhile, in the background, we're adding more billionaires year after year after year. These people having not just $1 billion, but 10 and 20 or $200 billion. Where do they fit into this situation where somebody who's cutting hay in 90-degree weather to feed the kids, where do the billionaires fit into that equation?
Good luck to them. I'm glad that they have it. But how many people did they hurt to get it?
A lot.
And 9 times.
Like, I'm gonna be honest, guys. I'm not sure you can actually be a billionaire and not be a monster. To be honest, like you value money definitely way more than your neighbor, for example. Right? I'm just gonna be honest here. I have no idea. Unless you got it. Unless you got it in like a divorce or someone's paying you alimony, which would probably not be a man in that context, right? But yeah, that's basically it. That's the only way I can imagine someone getting a billionaire and not actually getting $1 billion or having $1 billion or more than that and not being a literal monster. The reality, right? You had to wreck a lot in order to get to that point. In order to get to that point, yes. Nothing wrong with having money. Nothing at all, right? But that type of money, bro. I don't know, bro. I mean, I get it. You may have worked hard at one time in your life, and now you're basically living off of dividends or getting rich off of real estate, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I think you have to probably be a monster.
Times out of 10, they're high in a political world.
Yeah.
And they're using government funds and what they know on the insider to make that money.
You said recently, quote, when you give, they do whatever the hell you want them to do.
You better believe it.
So what specifically did they do?
If I ask them, if I need them, you know, most of the people on this stage I've given to, just so you understand. When I need something from them, 2 years later, 3 years later, I call them, they are there for me.
So
and that's a broken system.
When it's
Yeah, it is.
people coming across the border versus, say, billionaires or something like that, who's got the most influence over the problems that you think we face as a country?
Millionaires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not millionaires, billionaires. Unless they're like, maybe a couple of millionaires, but more likely billionaires. Billionaires, in the context of the statement he's making, is kind of like a gotcha question, bro. Right? I'm going to point that out. It feels kind of gotcha. If you frame it like that, then yes, in fact, billionaires cause more trouble, let's say. Can cause a lot more trouble than the migrants coming in from the southern border. If you frame it like that, and he framed it like that, so I have to say that.
Yeah.
Do you think you have more in common with a migrant from Mexico or Donald J. Trump?
A migrant
Oh
from
my
Mexico.
God.
Yeah. A migrant from Mexico. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because
Well, these are gotcha questions.
we're out here working to survive to feed our families.
There are a lot of theories about why a place like this would go for a billionaire like Trump. Maybe it's because Trump said the quiet part out loud.
Yeah, that's it.
That politicians in both parties
Are
had
corrupt.
abandoned the working class.
Absolutely.
Maybe he gave
They just chase money.
them someone to blame for their problems. Immigrants, queer kids, radical socialists. But here's another theory.
Radical socialists.
They voted for Trump because both parties felt captured, caught up in a system that no one here could influence.
In their mind, they thought Trump was going to save us. He's not a politician. He's going to be a little bit different. It was completely a lie. We're just in such a dire need for things to get better that they're grasping at any straw that they can reach for.
Andy Beshear offered one alternative, an old school approach that reaches for what the Democratic Party used to be, a party that stood with the working class in small towns and in big cities. But Beshear is fighting an uphill battle. Even in a county that voted blue for 144 years, Trump is still winning by huge margins. How do you compete with that?
You can't.
Maybe the answer is to do something that Trump would never do. Unite the working class by taking on the biggest threat we face.
I just don't like the big guy because the big guy's screwing you probably, or he wouldn't be the big guy. You know what I'm saying?
If we keep fighting amongst ourselves, that makes it easier for politicians to get a hold of you.
Absolutely. And bro, and trust me when I say both sides are yelling at each other or whatever they're doing in like on the floor, let's say, and then going straight to lunch. Now, can you imagine if the actual people that were voting for these politicians could do the same? They can't. Like two different ideologies as of right now, 2024, cannot sit at a table and talk to each other. They want to end each other's life. And it's like, bro, the people you're fighting for, right? Like the ideology or the echo chamber you're actually fighting for is basically paper thin, okay? The people who you think you're voting for are going to lunch together. They're having a grand old time together. Why can't you? Okay. Why can't you?
How do we get to a situation where the working class is united around common interests? Do you think that's possible?
I would love to see it. Because if you could get the working class to stick together, you know, maybe it would make a difference. It'd have to.
Yeah. All right. Well, well played. Well played. I mean, at times this was. I felt like this was definitely going off at the deep end, right? But I think if you sit back and listen to a good amount of it, it's solid. Definitely a left-leaning bias on this video here, guys. So definitely. But well played, either way. Listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day thoroughly.
Guys, before we go,
Are you guys subscribed to the other channels? Logical Movie Reviews with Mr. L. Boyd along with Mr. L. Boyd Music. Both are found in the description. Check it out.